Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner. No Corey Tackman today. He is off at the farm show. We're pulling in our wrestling correspondent, Kyle Gelsine, to join the show, talking about some wrestling matches last night with the defending state champion Staples-Motley Cardinals. We have a wrestling match tonight on the airwaves between Wadena-Deer Creek, Fergus Falls, and Pelican Rapids. We'll talk about all of that and a girls basketball game featuring the Sabika Trojans tonight. But first, we got to talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. And they're known for the great pizza, the great chicken, the mashed potatoes, all of that great stuff. But we can't forget about the salad bar. Their Cran-tastic salad is back, but for a limited time. It's the perfect blend of flavors featuring fresh leafy greens, sliced red onions, dried cranberries, crunchy candied pecans, or pecans, whatever you prefer, and crumbled feta cheese. Drizzle it with their limited time raspberry walnut vinaigrette. Try it today. Try it on a Wednesday, and you can get your double points. They offer double points on your Ranch Rewards purchases every Wednesday. The Cran-tastic salad at the salad bar. And then, of course, you have all the great stuff you have in the salad bar. You got the pudding, you have the desserts, and then, of course, the FunZone Arcade, where you can play to your heart's content. No shortage of a great time when it comes to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Need something to do over the weekend, need a place to take the kids on a Saturday. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade is the place to go. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in downtown Wadena. Okay, Kyle, so you had some wrestling on the air last night featuring the defending state champion Staples-Motley Cardinals in a quad with Bemidji, Cass Lake Bena Black Duck, and Pillager. So there's a couple different angles that we could break this match down at. But first, Staples-Motley pretty much full steam ahead, it looks like.
Absolutely. It was our first chance to see the Cardinals since they won the state championship almost a year ago. So both Dan Lawson and I were looking forward to seeing what they had coming back. And Cardinals are loaded again. 9 out of their 13 kids ranked in the state. One of them, maybe 2 of them, didn't wrestle last night. Didn't get a chance to see if it was due to injury or what the case may be, or just under the weather. But yeah, they were as good as advertised, maybe even better.
Yeah, and, just kind of for those who are trying to refill in as we get ready for the wrestling section playoffs and things like that, how many, was it a really big departure for Staples-Motley? Are they pretty much keeping the same team around? Are there any kind of new faces, new weights? How do things look kind of this year compared to last year?
There's a couple of new names in there, but there's, we've got a couple of Tappies in the lineup. We got a couple of Bjergas in the lineup. They've got the ranked wrestler at heavyweight in, and I don't have those, Gomez, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Gomez. And Dan has all the Staples-Motley stuff. I've got all the other match results, but yeah, they, a lot of familiar names. They do have, I think it was 5 seniors this year, so it's going to look a little bit different next year. But the way that program has been growing the last 3-4 years, they'll probably find some more kids coming up in the junior high levels to step in and fill up some of those lower weights as these other kids move up in a weight class or two.
Yeah, it's really, really cool to see that develop and to see a lot of those kids come back and try and go for twice in a row and try and repeat as state champions in Class A. Of course, the number 1 ranked team in Minnesota this year. Kyle, what have been some marquee wins for the Staples-Motley team? I know that, they've kind of had to go somewhere to find some competition on their level, but I've heard that they've kind of been making their way to some pretty high profile ways to get their kids some matches.
Yeah, they're not shirking any and all challengers. The last couple of years they've been trying to bump up that schedule a little bit to face some of the more stiff competition. So they're wrestling Twin City area schools on a regular basis. They were up at the Rumble at the Red. We're at a St. Michael Albertville tournament. Just to go at it from a different approach. Cardinals have only lost 3 times this year. That was at a tournament in La Crosse, Wisconsin. where they went to two tournaments actually in lacrosse. They beat Caledonia, they beat Washington, Illinois, and they beat Evansville, Wisconsin. I don't know much about those out-of-state teams, but I'm guessing if they're traveling that far, there's probably going to be some good competition. And then the next day, they were at a tournament at La Crosse, Wisconsin, where they lost to St. Michael Albertville, where they do a little wrestling down there.
They're pretty good down there, yeah.
They also lost to Stillwater area by a point. Ponies have always had a pretty good program. And then they lost to a school called Creighton Prep out of Nebraska.
Wow.
And yeah, those are the only three losses. So if a team's traveling from Nebraska to Wisconsin and you got these powerhouse teams from Minnesota going to that tournament, shows you just how good that competition must have been at that tournament. And even though the Cardinals came away with 3 losses, it probably gave them a pretty good idea of just where they're positioned individually and as a team as the season starts to wind down.
Yeah, exactly. And they came away in the quadrangular last night with 3 victories. Just kind of talk about, I know they were able to take care of Pillager. They were able to take care of Cass Lake being a Black Duck, but then they were taking on a high-profile team in Bemidji, who is a 3A school. Just talk about some of the interesting matchups you saw in there, because Staples-Motley, of course, got the win and stayed undefeated. But what were some of those individual matchups that were really intriguing?
Some really good matchups. Let's see, a 130... Let's see, where's my Bemidji notes? 139. Bemidji had a wrestler, Gabe Morin, who is ranked top 3, top 5, something like that in class 3A. They've got a Nick Strand wrestling at 145. He's ranked at 139. And then they had another wrestler, Schwinghammer, as their heavyweight. It fell right into some of those top Staples-Motley wrestlers at 33 and 39 that are. I had them here somewhere. All my notes from last night are getting mixed up with my notes from tonight.
I'm going to say we're making you do wrestling back-to-back nights, so it's just getting lost in the shuffle a little bit here.
Yeah, Caden Nyson wrestling for Staples-Motley at 133, so he wrestled that Gabe Noren at. Noren actually wrestled at 139, but he's ranked at 133. At 139, there's Gage Bierga, who's a sophomore. He won a state title a couple of years ago. He's ranked number 1 in Class A. So then Morin, here he's top 3, top 5 in 3A. That was a pretty good match. Bierga came out on top. 145, Eli Greenwald, ranked 3rd in the state at 145. He wrestled Nick Strand, who's ranked 3rd or 4th in the state at 139. That was a pretty good match there as well. And I think Strand came out on top in that one. And then at heavyweight, the Cardinals had Adrian Gomez, and Bemidji had that Schwinghammer. I think Gomez came out on top. Again, Dan had the results of that duel between Staples-Motley and Bemidji, but some really good key matchups in there. And after not having a lot of competition in some of the other duels, it was good for the Cardinals, I think, to get run up against some kids that are ranked in the top 5 in Class 3A.
Right. A good tune-up because, of course, section team tournament is next week, which is already crazy to think about. A final tune-up match as well for the Wadena-Deer Creek Wolverines, as they are hosting Fergus Falls and Pelican Rapids tonight in a triangular. It's a 4:45 pregame, 5 o'clock match start on 101.7 FM, AM920 KWAD, online at wadenaradio.com/KWAD. So, Kyle, as you've been getting ready for this matchup tonight, Wolverine Wrestling starting to get ready for their tune-up as well.
Yep, final matches of the regular season for all of these teams, all 4 of the teams last night, and I think all 3 of the teams tonight wrestling for the last time in the regular season, because Section 6A team tournament could possibly begin on Tuesday if you are one of the 8 or 9 seeds. So everybody's kind of, hoping to stay healthy. I know Pillager last night, just kind of a shout out to the Huskies, and with their new program, standalone program for the first time since the 1970s, I think it was. They ended up picking up their 5th win of the season. So they're pretty happy about the way things have gone this year, including the numbers in the wrestling room. One of their top kids sprained an ankle during the Park Region Conference tournament last weekend. So they said, you're not wrestling, team wise, we're not going to be able to go anywhere, matter of fact. So we're going to save you so that you're healthy for the individual section tournament. So just wanted to give a shout out to Pillager for, first year of a standalone program. They got some good numbers and kind of excited to see them wrestle well in some of their matches last night too. But yeah, getting back to tonight, Wadena-Deer Creek hosting Fergus Falls and Pelican Rapids. Talking with Dan Lawson last night, he thinks that we should have three probably fairly competitive duels. All three teams probably right in that same area a little bit. Haven't had a chance to get any specifics. I've reached out to the coaches and haven't gotten any information back yet, but hopefully will before the duel or the triangular begins tonight. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some real good competition and girls, of course, you mentioned sections, girls individual sections happening this weekend. Some of the local WDC and some of the other local teams are heading down to Shakopee for that individual section. The Staples-Motley and Pillager girls were heading up to Mora today for their section individual tournament. And then team sections for boys will be next week, followed by the individual tournaments the following week. And then it's state time.
February is just such a busy month on the wrestling calendar, and we're getting ready for it all to really crank into overdrive next week with all of our coverage. And it's just really cool to get to see things warm up this time of year with the wrestling. And of course, I've talked with Wadena-Deer Creek head wrestling coach Brad Wallum about this a couple different times over the last month about just how things have changed. And of course, bumping up to all these sections that used to just be north versus south for girls wrestling, seeing more turnout. And he said it's going to really help because, before to get to state, you really had to be the best of the best. And now this could give some more opportunities now that they've kind of spread things out and added to the section list and things like that. So it'll be very fascinating. For Wadena-Deer Creek girls wrestling, they have a couple girls ranked number 1. They have like 3 ranked number 2 and a few ranked number 3 in their sections. He said that the section meetings and seatings and stuff like that went really, really well in terms of setting up their wrestlers. So he's really hoping for a fun day down in Shakopee. And then, like you said, in Mora for the other ones. So it's here and it's really cool to see. And of course, it all culminates with the state tournament at the end of the month. And Kyle, I think this is a good time too to mention that, just a little sneak preview what we got coming up next week. I know it's section team wrestling, and we're going to be stopping by section 6 and 7 this year.
Yeah. Like we said, section 6, jumping back to the girls real quick, really exciting to see how that state tournament has grown just in the last few years. They started with 4 girls in a weight class, and they went up to 8. And now this year they'll have a full 16 girl bracket at each weight class. So, and the number of girls coming out to participate in wrestling has, and for most cases, increase the number of boys that are coming out as well. So now you're seeing a lot more teams that have full lineups, plus some competition at some weights. So that kids are getting bumped down to JV, where, years past they would have been in the varsity lineup, even if they weren't qualified to be at that, level, but they needed to fill the weight class. So it's improved a lot of wrestling programs in just a few years. But as for the section boys team, we're going to focus in on 6 and 7 again this year. Section 6 opens Tuesday night with pigtail round. 8 and 9 seeds will wrestle off on a Tuesday night, and then the winner gets to wrestle the number 1 seed in the quarterfinals. The seeding hasn't completed yet because the teams haven't wrapped up their regular season schedules, but that'll happen here probably over the weekend. And then section 6 quarterfinals, semifinals, and championship will all be held next Friday, a week from today, at Bertha Hewitt High School. And we're planning on being there for all 3 rounds. And then Saturday, Valentine's Day, Dan and I have a date to go to Walker for the 7A team competition, and we'll see Staples-Motley and Pillager there, among other teams, of course. And then the following weekend, we'll have Section 6A individual on Friday. We're hoping to catch Section 7A, but that looks like it's going to be about the same day. But the exciting part is 7A individual tournament will be in Staples. So Cardinal fans won't have to travel too far to watch their wrestlers go.
Expect to pack gym on that day.
Yeah, the nest will be full. And then the following Wednesday is the start of the state tournament. They've expanded to, they say 4 days, but it's really about 3.5. And so team competition will get started late Wednesday afternoon of the state tournament. Then we'll have our first round of individual on Thursday. And then Thursday night, we'll have the championship and consolation and third place matches for the team. And we'll see some of the girls for the first time on Thursday. And then, of course, Friday and Saturday, full days of wrestling. The one exciting note about the schedule is that normally in years past, the final round was held starting about 5 o'clock, so we wouldn't get out of there until about 8 or so after they got all the pictures and stuff taken. This year, they're going to start the championship at 1, and so we should be done by about 5 o'clock or so. So be a nice early evening to get out of there, and boss will be happy because I don't have to have another hotel room for another night.
It all works out in the end, you know? Really, really cool to see that state wrestling tournament expand and kind of shift a little bit. And yeah, just kind of alleviate some of the workload in some of those later days. So a lot of fun wrestling stuff coming up. And Kyle, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention this too before we got out of here. This comes courtesy of Bertha Hewitt, Verndale, Parker's Prairie Raider Wrestling. If you go look on their Facebook page, and they were in Olivia yesterday with some performances. They ended up in a triangular going 3-0 in that day. But the most important thing overall for the team was a milestone reached for Hudson Truax, who got his 125th career win in the performance. So another wrestling milestone hit here at the end of the season, Kyle. And it's always cool to see these kids reach those.
Yeah, and that just shows, the stick-to-itiveness to participate in wrestling. It's one of the Staples-Motley kids was asked to describe wrestling in a grind. They did like a senior spotlight. I can't remember which one it was. Might have been Greenwald. And his one-word answer to describe wrestling was grind. Grind. It is a grind, and for talking to one of the Pillager assistant coaches, one of the biggest things that they were most pleased about is that they had kids that came out and haven't maybe had individual success, but they're in the wrestling room, they're in the weight room, they're in practices, they're sticking with it, and that only means that more success down the road.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was one of the wrestlers I talked to for a Wolverine player spotlight, and they said they have a love-hate relationship with wrestling. So it's always really fascinating to get to talk to them about that. And yeah, like you said, the stick-to-itiveness and the mental toughness. I've talked with wrestling coaches too, where they're like, the number one thing that we need out of a kid is mental toughness, because that can help out a lot with all of that. So
one of the Staples-Motley wrestlers hit a milestone last night too, but we were in the middle of something, so I couldn't really hear who it was. But I'm guessing Staples-Motley Wrestling has a Facebook page. The Staples-Motley School District has a Facebook page, so they'll probably have something up there recognizing that accomplishment at some point as well.
It was senior night yesterday too, wasn't it, for the Cardinals?
So yeah, Parents' Night. I like the way they did Parents' Night. Rather than introduce everybody individually, they just said, mom and dad or guardians stand up in the crowd and your wrestler will find you. And then that was it. And then we went back to wrestling. And then for Parents' Night, or for Senior Night, they had pretty much the same thing. Moms and dads stood up. The senior wrestlers, senior managers and stat girls went and found their parent or guardian. And then they had a little video featuring the wrestlers on that big video board that they have there inside the nest. And then that was it. Let's wrestle. And so, yeah, they did it really well and kept the program moving along. But I think it was five seniors this year for the Staples-Motley Cardinals.
All right. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to everyone. Next week, it's playoff wrestling. I mean, technically, it starts today. Here we go.
Yep.
The morning.
And of course, all of our wrestling coverage from here on out. We've got some great sponsors, as always, each and every year. But a special thank you to Lakewood Health System, as they will be the presenting sponsor of each and every wrestling match, whether it's dual or individual tournament, the rest of the month, right on through state tournament at the end of February.
Couldn't imagine a better duo with Lakewood Health System jumping on board with that one.
Hey.
It's the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.